Giridharidhari Gopi Janavalabha Giridharidhari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radhe Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radhe Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Vishpad Paramahamsa Pravijayakacharya Sotara Sata Shishimade Si Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Samaveda Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shishi Guru and Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Haribol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. That's the mantra Narada Muni gave to Dhruva Maharaj. Upon chanting, he got the darshan of the Supreme Lord. We're getting to hear from Srimad Bhagavatam, Fundamental Principles of Material Nature, in the 3rd Canto, Chapter 26. Today is text 51. Tatastena vidhebhyo Tatastena vidhebhyo Yuktebhyonda achetanam Yuktebhyom Dhammachetanam Utitam Purusho Yasmad Utitam Purusho Yasmad Udatishtada Salvirat Udatishtada Salvirat Tatastena navedebhyo yukte bhyondam achetanam utititam purusho yasmad adatishthada salvirat tatastena navedebhyo yukte bhyondam achetanam Utitam Purusho Yasmad Tatastena navedebhyo Tebhyom dam chetasam Please. Tatastena navedebhyo Yukte bhyondam chetanam Utitam purusho yasmad Udatishthada salvirat Tata then Tena by the Lord Anuvidyebhya from these 7 principles roused into activity Yuktebhya, united. Andam, an egg. Achetanam, unintelligent. Utitam, a rose. Purusha, cosmic being. Capital letters. Yasmat, from which. Udatishtat, appeared. Asal, that. Virat, celebrated. Translation. From these 7 principles. Anybody remember what the 7 principles are?
Yeah. First fire ether, Mahatattva, and
false ego. False ego. From these 7 principles, roused into activity and united by the presence of the Lord, an unintelligent egg arose, from which appeared the celebrated cosmic being. Capital letters. Please repeat. From these 7 principles, roused into activity and united by the presence of the Lord, an unintelligent egg arose, from which appeared the celebrated cosmic being. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In sex life, the combination of matter from the parents, which involves emulsification and secretion, creates a situation whereby a soul is received within matter. And the combination of matter gradually develops into a complete body. The same principle exists in the universal creation. The ingredients were present, but only when the Lord entered into the material elements was matter actually agitated. That is the cause of creation. We can see this in our ordinary experience. Although we may have clay, water, and fire, the elements take the shape of a brick only when we labor to combine them. Without the living entity, there's no possibility that matter can take shape. Similarly, this material world does not develop unless agitated by the Supreme Lord as the Virata Purusha. Yasmad adattishtad asal virat. By His agitation, space is created and the universal form of the Lord also manifested therein. If we could chant together. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Salakya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadabhayam Dadati Swapadandikam Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Vanchakopatarubhyascha Kripasindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Getting to hear about creation, and whether it is the microcosm of the body or the macrocosm, the entire universe, which is one tiny little speck among unlimited universes, the principle is the same. Matter is matter. It's dull, it's dead. In this verse, the adjective is given unintelligent. In and of itself, it's just there. It doesn't do anything. It's unmanifest to begin with. That's the pradhan or the avyakta. And only when the Lord glances and begins to agitate it, begins its spark, then these things begin to coagulate, and then they into separate entities. Mahat Tattva is created, and all these things have been described one after another successively, manifesting: sky, air, fire, water, earth. Mind, false ego. So these are like, as Srila Prabhupada gives in the purport, the egg of the mother and the sperm of the father, the seed of the father. They, in and of themselves, they don't create life. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's been an example given that's been used probably for eons. And village life, agrarian culture, you'll have your rice. And sometimes it looks as if out of the rice come insects, like a scorpion. Now, the rice was not the cause of the birth of the scorpion. Rice did not give life to that insect. But this is the world view. This is what the most accredited, intelligent men of our age are saying. It's the same basic principle of the story of Frankenstein. I'll get together all these dead parts, this matter, and then somehow or other from matter, lightning bolt, etc., some electricity, which is another form of fire, matter. Life begins. It's complete illusion. Complete illusion. Even though they're the most intelligent men on the planet. IQs, this guy, Stephen Hawking or whatever. I forget what the number is, but it's off the charts. So the demoniac intelligent people, they don't lend an ear to the true authority which can give them some idea. I heard the recording of Oppenheimer, who helped develop the nuclear bomb. He quoted Bhagavad Gita. He was aware of it. Einstein, he was aware of it. Those who are pious, they give some credence to it. Can't just be all random. That's the biggest foolishness. It's like Srila Prabhupada gives the simplest example. Take some earth, take some water, take some heat, some fire. You ever going to get a brick or houses without somebody mixing them together and then building it? Just doesn't happen. It makes no sense whatsoever. But that's Maya. If we want to be in illusion, apoanam cha, the Lord gives us a whole creation to enact our foolishness. So if it weren't for the grace of Srila Prabhupada, we'd all still be two-legged animals running around in ignorance, simply trying to satisfy the senses. Now this process of creation is very important. It's been reiterated time and time again from different angles. But these senses in our mind outside of the direction and guidance of the spiritual master are our enemies. It's important to understand the strategic location, the strength, the weaknesses of the enemy, if you want to overcome them. These senses are attracted to the sense objects. And we have this impression, because we think we are matter, that we are in the material body, that I can grasp that, I can own, control, and enjoy that. It's just thievery. It's just criminal. Everything belongs to Krishna. Everything is the property, the creation of Krishna. There's no imagination to it. There's no speculation to it. In the culture of the srimadbhagavatam, explicitly given. And despite it being explicitly given, even the most intelligent of men, meaning high IQ, they have very hard time understanding these things. Because ultimately, the spiritual knowledge which we're trying to get from this sambandha gyan, that everything is related to Krishna, is the transcendental knowledge, not of this world. It's not by logic or intelligence are you able to understand Krishna. Tasi Krishna namade abhavam gramya indriyai. It's not possible. You can't grasp him with the senses. That's the Leela of Mother Yasoda. How you tie up Krishna, the unlimited, within whom everything is existing, with a piece of rope. It's impossible. Because he's within everything, as we heard yesterday, but he's also outside of everything. He's not there. How are you going to catch him? Try to harm the deity. What do? To you, it's just stone. Krishna's not there for you. You think you can break him or harm him? No, you can't capture Krishna. Only if he allows himself to be captured, and he only does that through devotional service. That is more powerful than the Lord. He submits himself voluntarily to love. How wonderful. So without Srila Prabhupada's mercy, what would we understand about these things? That we're a tiny little spirit soul. I mean, even in the space of an inch, there are unlimited living entities in the molecules. And the Lord's present there right beside each and every one of them. All pervading, as it says, about the spirit souls and about Krishna. But some people look upon the soul, some hear about the soul, some talk about the soul, but very few people understand. Because it's not just knowledge, as we say. Now the Jnanis, they can engage in extreme austerities. And they can be granted Brahman realization, that they are spirit. But they don't understand that they're simply an infinitesimal spirit compared to the unlimited spirit. Nityo nityanam chaitanas chaitananam. They don't have a clue about that. They think they are all pervasive. This is their foolishness. So not by one's own endeavor can one capture the full knowledge of even the soul. What to speak of Krishna, the source of all, including the living entities. So Srila Prabhupada is in disciplic succession from the Lord himself. The knowledge is given by the Lord. It's being spoken by Kapila Dev. And our spiritual masters, disciplic succession, they repeat the same message. And they don't simply repeat it, but they practice it, they apply it. Almost every day we hear we're not this body, we're spirit soul, but how is the practical application of that accomplished? First of all, we have to understand we're not the body. Okay, that comes in the theoretical. First day you walk in, Ham Brahmasmi, you're the eternal, your spirit soul, eternally part and parcel of Krishna, eternally his servant. But how does the liberated soul understand those words? We'll hear from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur what he says to his rascal mind and rascal senses. The awakened soul says in effect to the mind and body, I'm not identical with you. I don't want what you require. I've so long believed I was identical with yourselves and that our interests were the same. But I now find that I'm really and categorically different from you. I'm made wholly of the principle of self-consciousness, while both of you are made of dead matter. Being matter, you can act and be acted upon by matter under the laws of nature. Nature makes and unmakes you, but she has no power over me. I'm not benefited by your growth or harmed by your decay. You grow and decay by the laws that govern your relationships with this physical universe. Falsely identifying myself with you, I find myself compelled to suffer pain and pleasure due to the physical problems that overtake you. I find myself unnaturally yoked to your functions, such as eating, drinking, producing thought, etc., etc., and am forced to believe them to be my own functions by which I'm benefited. Of course, I shall have to stay with you as long as it's intended by providence that I should suffer the consequences of this unnatural alliance with you. But, and this is where Sambandha turns into Abhideya, but I shall from this time do nothing to please you. I shall permit you to do only what I consider to be necessary for my well-being, regaining my natural position of free conscious existence, unhampered by an unnatural domination caused by longing for material enjoyment. I refuse to be any more a slave of the sensual inclinations of the mind and body. End of quote. It's from Sri Chaitanya's teachings, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So, Manasadeya Geyo Yo Kichu More. All the devotees, the great devotees, certainly all the acharyas, they engage their mind, their words, their activities, everything they are and possess in the service of Krishna. Then the mind becomes the friend. But it's not an easy or even a quick, if you want to think from our perspective as a conditioned soul, process. It's a gradual process. Because there are two kinds of living entities. When we talk about the science of the soul, there's eternally conditioned souls and eternally liberated souls. And we are the Tatastha Shakti, and we have independence where we can choose. Do I want to take shelter of Krishna and serve him, or would I rather not? Krishna is so kind, he gives us the opportunity. I'm not going to force you to serve me. I mean, it's almost like our present situation. There's nobody holding a stick over your head and saying, you got to do this. It's really through a team of voluntary endeavors where everyone's doing their services, practically speaking, according to their desire or lack of. It's voluntary. And that is the reality throughout. Guru can't force you to surrender to Krishna. Krishna doesn't even force you to surrender. No one will ever force you to surrender. You have to take personal responsibility on your own and say, I will submit myself to the instructions, the guidance of the spiritual master, the scriptures, and Krishna. And once one does that, then one is liberated. Doesn't matter what level of devotion you possess. When you desire to serve Krishna, you have a sincere desire, and this is a quote of Srila Prabhupada, then you're understood to be a liberated soul. What freedom! All I have to do is be told what to do and do it. How wonderful is that? Start practicing. I'm not going to, I refuse. There's no benefit in it for me. I get cheated every time I engage in sense gratification. Some temporary distraction, but then I'm right back to the original problem. I'm not satisfied. I'm in a body that's a repository and source of pain. Being experienced through the medium of the mind. The body doesn't feel pain. It's the mind picking up the signals of pain or pleasure. And Bhaktisiddhanta says that's the illusion. It's suffering both pain and pleasure. Because anything that keeps us from our eternal relationship, loving reciprocations with Krishna, what a horrible, painful situation that is. They would rather embrace or undergo anything of this material world, any temporary challenge or misery, rather than not be allowed to serve Krishna to the best of their ability. So this is the science of the soul. This is the science of Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada says, I quote it, a number of times I've quoted it, but I know it's a purport that Jananivas Prabhu has meditated upon years. And so I take inspiration from that, try to follow in his example. And it's worked for him. Surrender to the Lord to be a realized, liberated soul. Where he says the whole process, meaning Krishna consciousness, following under the directions of the spiritual master, being resolute in purpose, having our aim as one. The whole process, however, depends on perfect knowledge of the soul beyond the conception of the body, not theoretically but practically, when there's no longer a chance for sense gratification manifested in fruitive activities. One who is not firmly fixed in mind is diverted by various types of fruitive acts. So every time we're offered the opportunity for devotional service and we say no, or every time we realize our mind is like really hesitant, I don't feel comfortable discussing, thinking about what to speak of doing some devotional service to Krishna, you should understand it's because of the bodily concept of life. We think that we're going to be the loser by surrendering to Krishna and his spiritual master, his representative. It's Maya. It's the rascal mind. Just don't do that. Don't listen to that good advice. Only in the association of devotees can we become strengthened to where we can overcome our weakness. It's understandable. Don't throw stones. Bhakti Ryan was sharing with me realizations a few days back. How can I throw stones at my Prabhus? Everything I see them falling short of, I've done 1,000,000 times and more. Any fault of theirs that I see within them, I possess equally, if not greater. Very wonderful consciousness. That type of mentality, thinking oneself lower than others, which is the realization of the liberated souls. They understand their constitutional identity is at 1/10,000th the tip of a hair. Tiny, insignificant. One of unlimited, only one of unlimited servants of the Lord. Why am I better than you? In Vaikuntha, there is rivalry and there is competition, but there is no enmity. There is no fighting. There is no envy. This Bhagavatam culture starts out, second verse, what does it say? Nirmatsaram Satam. That this is for the non-envious. And Srila Prabhupada explains, when we are not appreciative of seeing the advancement of others, that's actually self-envy. Because everyone in our circumstances, in our midst, is directly or indirectly helping us to become Krishna conscious, surrendered servants of Guru and Krishna. Why do I say indirectly? When you get upset with your Prabhus and their lack of surrender in Krishna consciousness, what do you feel? Fried? Disappointed? Possibly even angry? Isn't that an impetus to go, I want to get out of this world? None of that exists in the spiritual world. None of it exists even in self-awareness. Doesn't impact one at all. In fact, when you see that, what are you supposed to do? Minimally, you're supposed to pray for their welfare. Optimally, you're supposed to set an example for them that they will be inspired by to rise up and do better in their life. Balaram Prabhu yesterday was saying, at least if voluntarily we embrace that I'll do it, and another person does it, and before you know it, the whole chain is strong. Everybody's, I'll measure up to the standard. Everybody else is doing it. They're fired up. I want to be fired up. We all want to be fired up. And it starts with each one of us thinking in those ways. Let me serve, let me surrender, let me assist. There's some wonderful quotes here. This hearing and chanting that we're doing. Srila Prabhupada again and again would refer to it as Ishtagosti. You know, Ishtagosti kind of morphed into non-existence for a long time, at least we can say locally. And whenever it would be engaged in, it was almost always about services. This has to be covered, that has to be covered. But Srila Prabhupada, he would say, I'm glad that you've solved the hospital bill of Prajumya. I'm so glad to learn that he's taking part in the Ishtagosti. His answers are very intelligent. You should therefore discuss the Ishtagosti from current reading matters, from Bhagavad Gita or srimadbhagavatam. We should only try to understand everything from the standard of devotional service. My blessings for you all. Your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. So it's all about devotional service. If we lose sight of why we're doing it, it becomes a great burden. I mean, I loved it when Bhakti Ryan Prabhu said, you know, heck, out there they have to work 8 hours a day. I just smiled within my day when I leave on the 5th and start working on the, you know, the 8th, 6th, or whatever it is, 7th. You know, it's going to be a 12-hour day. God dang, I wish I was getting the money that Krishna gives me in 8 hours versus the 12. But that's nothing. Srila Prabhupada, when discussing with senior devotees, when they were having difficulty keeping up with him and, you know, ringing the bell in the middle of the night, what are you doing? I'm sleeping. Why are you sleeping? Well, I'm tired. Why are you tired? Well, I had this material body. What is this body? You should be hearing and chanting. You should be engaging in service. Well, sleep is service. You have to be balanced in the sleep. But the pure devotees, what do they view the body as when it's not used in Krishna's service? It's an anartha, something unwanted, certainly something unnecessary. It's a prison term. And I'll have to suffer the consequences of this union with you until Providence, Krishna, deems fit that I can become free of it. Go back home, back to Godhead. At an initiation ceremony in Berry Place in London in December of 1970, Srila Prabhupada said, if you simply chant 16 rounds a day and follow the 4 regulative principles, there is nothing in this world that can keep you from going back to Godhead in this lifetime. And then you raised your index finger for emphasis and said, and that is a fact. And I guarantee you, without the association of your Prabhus, you're not going to be able to chant 16 rounds and follow the 4 regulative principles. It doesn't happen without the satsanga, the association of devotees, the shelter of devotees, and the guidance of devotees, and the spiritual master. Material nature is far too powerful. She's much more pure and aware, realized than we are in her service of testing. Do you really want to serve Krishna or you want to cause disturbance? See, when you don't follow the instructions of the spiritual master and engage in your activities of service for the reason of pleasing Guru and Krishna, inadvertently you're doing it with selfish motive. I got to do it. I don't want to do it. I won't do it well, etc., etc. The ramifications just keep expanding. Then it simply causes a disturbance. You can quote Shastra on that. If you don't follow devotional service according to the injunctions of, what is it? Shruti, Smriti, Puranadi, then it's a disturbance to the devotees. The real devotees just, are you with me, Larry? The real devotees, they just are appreciative of whatever any fool can do, struggling, aspiring, neophyte devotee. That's their kindness, that's their mercy. They don't kick out anybody unless they're actual demons. And even Srila Prabhupada, because of his purity of surrender and service, he could change demons into devotees. There's several stories, devotees saying, I was going to the Harinam to beat the heck out of some devotee. I was going to really enjoy it. Those weirdos. Freaks. And by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada or his representatives, Jayananda or whatever, turn them right, bring them right in the fold and watch the purification of hearing and chanting take place. The miracle of Krishna consciousness. Let's see if I can find this one purport, this one other quote that I wanted to read. I'll read this. And what's the value of this association, satsanga? Satsanga means discussion or assembly. Bodhyanta parasparam tushanticha ramanticha. If you're not interested in association, discussion, Srimad Bhagavatam class, and carrying it throughout the day, Bhagavad Gita class in the evening, if you're not interested in association and discussion, then you're finished. So karmis, they're fools and rascals. When you've got this center, it's not that you should be engaged from morning till you go to bed for sense gratification. That's not life. That's karmi's life. You have no time for satsanga, for association. You cannot make any progress by this sort of karmi life. We have to work for organization, but not that whole day and night engaged in no satsanga. That is a misguided policy, and it will spoil the whole structure. In Los Angeles, they regularly assemble during Artik and class. If this regulative principle is lost, then you're karmis. No better than the sense gratifiers. It simply becomes work. And how much are you being paid for that work? Hey, Prashadam's nice, but if you have a critical mentality, you even start finding fault in the Prashadam. Am I right? It's not up to standard of my bodily needs. Evidently, these lights are, the source of my slow death. I mean, there's so many things you can find that are not up to, maintaining the health of this body and mind. But Srila Prabhupada is saying that the association together and the hearing and chanting together so that we're serving, surrendering and serving together. Don't lose it. Don't lose sight of the value of it. It's the most precious gift being given to us. Krishna is everywhere. He's within us and He's without. The spiritual master was within us and without. His instructions, just like the holy name, the holy names are non-different from Krishna. He's fully present in it, and service to the holy names give the results of all results. Ye prasade sarva asha. And it's non-different from Srila Prabhupada's, the spiritual master's instructions. He's fully present. And when we hold on to the instructions, the shelter, the guidance of those instructions, we're protected. Doesn't matter the dashing tsunami-like forceful waves of material energy, we'll be safe. Just weather it out. Hold on. Continue to volunteer to the best of your ability. I'll end on this one example, one story of Srila Prabhupada. I use the terminology idiots. We're all idiots. We're all fools. We're all aspiring devotees, and we have our challenges and our difficulties. We have our high points and our low points. When the temple was on 42nd and 2nd Avenue, not 26th 2nd Avenue, but previous to that, Srila Prabhupada needed a place to stay. And there was one devotee, his name was Jimmy something, he became a Jamuna Acharya Das. And it was his father's apartment that they gave to Srila Prabhupada to stay while they were there for some short time.
What city?
New York City. Let's see if I can keep this going while I... No, that's the wrong quote. And they had a get-together with Srila Prabhupada. We call them darshans these days. Everybody was coming to see Srila Prabhupada, and everyone was there in the room. And then there was kind of a commotion at the door of the apartment. And Srila Prabhupada said, what's going on? Well, it's Jimmy. He feels ashamed. He smoked a cigarette yesterday and he doesn't feel worthy of coming in your presence. And Srila Prabhupada yelled so that he could hear him outside the door. He said, "That's all right. Whatever you've done, I forgive you. Just come and join the association of devotees." That's the gift of our disciplic succession. The gift of Lord Chaitanya, directly being given to us by Srila Prabhupada and his representatives. We're all fools and fall short in so many ways, greater to lesser degrees. But the open-armed invitation is, that's all right. Just come and serve, come and hear, come and pray, come and chant, come and serve in the association of the rest of the patients in this hospital that are trying to get well also. So are there any comments or questions in this regard? Bhakti Prabhu.
When we say the spirit soul is all pervading, does that mean it even pervades material matter? And if so, why would we call material matter dead?
It's a good question. It's dead because we think it's dead. It's the Lord's material energy, and its function is manifest and unmanifest. For him, it's spiritual. For the electrician, whether he's going to make the electricity turn into cold or hot, it's the same for him. In the highest sense, from the sense of Krishna, it's all spiritual. But for the living entity, there is a difference between matter and spirit. For the liberated souls, they don't see. They do, but simultaneously they see this is Vaikuntha. It's the spiritual world. When I hear the kirtan, when I see the worship of the Lord within my heart, I see it transform into Goloka Vrindavan. So the living entity and the Lord is everywhere, and the Lord is non-different from his energies. And for our purpose, because we identify with and are controlled by, greater or lesser degrees, the material energy, we have to see it and be very much afraid of it, knowing that its reality, its proper utility is in service and surrender to the Lord. And any perspective that falls short of that is Maya, that which is not. So that's pretty lofty. I'm going to open it up for everybody else to put their perspective or contribution to that. Living entities are everywhere, but it's dead. Well, no, it's not dead to the Lord. She's a personality. She's an eternal servant. So anyway, anybody else like to contribute? It's a good question, isn't it? Of the Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah. All pervading. Because when you hear all pervading, Krishna is all pervading.
Right.
Living entities are present everywhere. There's little difference. Living entities all pervading is not like jealousy.
Yeah.
But the basic principle, as you said, is living entities everywhere, but they're unresolved. Wherever there's a soul, and the soul is there.
Yeah.
But in the atom, there's so many people that dead matter because
They're so covered over.
I mean, I recall that incredible pastime between Lord Chaitanya and Haridas Thakur, in which he was trying to encourage Lord Chaitanya was kind of lamenting how all these people have been saved, how those women have been saved. And Haridas Thakur said, "You're already saved. Everyone is here in the universe, and you're here, saved. So what happens if you become saved? No, it's filled up again, but it's undeveloped living entities. Where the living entities are there, good life there, so simple life. But as I say, you realize all you can see that it's all this energy and the spiritual is the problem. And I take this one. That in the highest sense, there is no matter.
Yeah. Sarvakalamidam Brahma. It's all spirit. Thank you for asking. Yes.
Would that be referred to more as like consciousness itself? Like there's the chair wouldn't be conscious, but we are conscious. One of them
Yeah.
refers to dead.
Yeah, sleeping. Unconscious. Srila Prabhupada called sleeping like death. Pure devotees don't like to sleep. Waste of time. Yes, Prabhu?